Hey guys, Ben here from Velflex. Now, what I'm going to take you through is a common problem that our customers go through when their fabric shrinks under the heat press. Now, they may not know what that looks like in terms of the shrinking, but pretty much when you see that you've lifted your top plate and you have a look at your transfer and you can see some cockling or waviness in the plastic that's holding your transfer, what that waviness in the transfer means is the fabric underneath the transfer has shrunk. Okay. Now, when this happens, that cockling effect actually is trying to lift your transfer up off the garment because the plastic can't shrink, but the fabric has. And what that's doing, that cockling, it's lifting the transfer up and it's going to make application very difficult. You're going to peel the transfer and you're going to find bits and pieces of your transfer lifting all throughout your design. Some bits stick really well and other bits not so much. And where you'll find that cockling is typically between letters and things like that, okay? It's where there's big gaps in your transfer, that's where that cockling, that lifting of the plastic is going to be. I'm going to give you a good example, guys. We've got some nylon products here. Synthetic fabrics and things like that typically shrink more, certainly like umbrellas, and I'm going to show you a technique in how to press these fabrics really successfully. But first I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like when it doesn't work out, okay? So we're going to grab one of these bags right here, okay? I've got my Fusion IQ. I'm just going to place it down. Now, I'm going to put it across just like this. Cool, okay. What I've got, actually I might even put that towards like that. We've got obviously some seams and things like that, but that's okay, guys. We're not going to worry about that today. Cool, now no pre-press. I'm just going to press this straight up as a single press, okay? I'm going to use a big print as well. You'll have a lot bigger impact with the transfer not sticking if it's a big transfer, because obviously it's over a bigger area and so it needs to shrink with. So I'm going to show you what it's like here. If I was just to do 150, 10 seconds, okay? Now, you might see this in all sorts of different garments, polyesters and things like that. It could be in calico bags. I've seen the shrinkage happen, but realistically, we absolutely know it happens. Synthetics, nylons, things like that, your umbrellas and whatnot. Okay, so that's cool. I'm going to swing that away and let's have a bit of a look. Now here, guys, if we can see, this plastic absolutely has these little waves through it, okay? You can see it through here. We can see it over here, it's curling, okay? We can even see, if you have a look at parts of the transfer where it's discolored, it's because the plastic has already pulled away from the transfer there, okay? It's trying to separate from the transfer. And it's doing that because this plastic underneath has shrunk, but the plastic the transfer on is heat treated and it can't shrink at all. And so what we've got is we've got a non-deliberate lifting of the plastic off the transfer. Now, we all know how important it is to peel the transfer in a certain way, okay? Here, this plastic is trying to. It went in perfectly flat, okay? It was pressed between two perfectly flat surfaces. This plastic should remain always perfectly flat. If it's not perfectly flat, if this plastic ever has any waves or anything in it, what you know is that the fabric underneath has shrunk. And so what we need to do is then get rid of the shrinkage. We need to precondition the fabric, okay? If I was to peel, this is a cold peel, right? But if I tried to peel this here, the chances that I have a successful peel is going to be low, okay? Now, fortunately enough, look, it's worked for me, but I can definitely tell you there's bits of the transfer there that hasn't quite pressed down as well as it could have. I've been really, really lucky if I've got this going on. And actually what we can see, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you can absolutely see the curving, the waviness, I suppose, through the plastic, and what I call is the cockling of the plastic, and that's because the fabric underneath this plastic has tried to shrink. It's pulling the transfer in that shrinkage sort of shape, but the plastic needs to almost try to take shape of that shrinking sort of space. Okay, how do we stop that? What we do is we precondition the fabric. So if I take another one of these same sort of bags, same sort of fabrics, right, what we're going to do is we're going to pre-press it, okay? So I'm going to put it under there, sit like, just like that. Cool. We're going to do a pre-press. Now, typically speaking, you want to do a pre-press for the same amount of time as your what you would normally do as an application. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm doing my 10 seconds, right? My 10 seconds is going to assure me that this bag has shrunk down and I've got that shrinkage happening. Now, there's now a lot of heat in this, okay? So if I grab the next transfer, same transfer as we did before, okay? Right, but because I've got I've already got lots of heat in my fabric, it's already been pre-pressed, and I've got that shrinkage to already happen, I can actually now do a much shorter press, okay? So I'm now gonna do just 5 seconds. Okay, counting down, there we go, pull that out. And what we have here, if we have a look, now it's lifted up a little bit, but if you have a look, the plastic hasn't cockled at all, okay? So we know that the bag hasn't actually shrunk under our transfer, and we're gonna have a really good application there. This has lifted up a little bit, it's just the plastic is stuck to the top plate just because they're perfectly smooth, and we could stop that with a bit of parchment paper or a bit of Teflon over the top of this transfer. This is the cold peel, so that can sometimes happen with your cold peel because it's a glossy top. But when we're talking about shrinkage, what this plastic is perfectly smooth compared to this plastic here has those waves through it, okay? And what we're trying to stop is we're trying to make sure that we don't see any of the cockling in the plastic. No cockling, it's perfectly flat. It means it hasn't lifted the transfer or tried to pull the transfer off the fabric, and then it will peel really nicely, just like that. And that there was a significantly better peel than the last one. If we have a look, see, there's no cockling or waviness to that. It's nice and perfectly flat, exactly as we put it in. Okay, so guys, if you're ever pressing and you're having bits of transfer lift up, whether it doesn't matter what type of garment it is, but if you're having bits of the transfer lift up through your design, have a look straight away. Is my plastic liner that the transfer on, is it curvy or wavy? Has it got some cockling happening through it? If that's the case, what's happening is your fabric is shrinking. And what we need to do is we need to precondition the fabric first before you put the transfer on. So if I was doing a 10-second application previously, I'd now go, you know what, I'm gonna press this fabric for 10 seconds. I'm then gonna put the transfer down and I'm gonna do a 5 or a 6-second application. I don't need to do 10 seconds. I've got lots of heat already into the fabric, okay? So I'm gonna do a 5 or 6-second application with the transfer after I've done a 10-second press, which is going to precondition that fabric, make the shrinkage happen, okay, stabilize the fabric, and then my application afterwards is going to be absolutely perfect. Guys, if you have any questions around shrinking of fabrics and things like that, reach out to us, send us an email, give us a call. Hopefully this helps all of you there where you're having issues with peeling transfers where bits are lifting due to shrinkage of the fabric itself. Cheers, guys.